Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Odd Vlog. And we haven't done one of these for a long time, for a whole multitude of reasons. But it's 2021, and it's time to start trying to make some new content. So what we're going to do is we're basically just going to do a few book reviews, because one thing that I've done quite a lot during lockdown and restrictions and all that kind of stuff is to do a lot of reading. So what I've been doing mostly is Star Wars books. And the novelizations that go with the movies. I've stuck with all of the canon ones so far, and I've done quite a lot of the books, with a lot more to do, and the High Republic stuff has now started to come out too, so I'll hopefully be doing lots of reviews for all of those as and when they come out too. But we're going to start with the first one that I ever read, which was Lost Stars by Claudia Gray, and this one is definitely up there as being probably top two of the favourites that I've read. What I really liked about this one is that it's just ties in so beautifully with the original trilogy, and it very much sort of follows the lineage of the story and all of the events that happen right from when it all starts in A New Hope and a little bit before that, all the way through to Return of the Jedi. It all kind of matches up and goes with it. But what's really great about it is that it tells stories from both sides of the point of view. So you have the dark side, the light side, you have the Empire, and you have the Rebellion, and you get those different perspectives of everything that's happening, all the way from when the Death Star is blown up in New Hope, and all of the fallout from that, which you just don't see it in the films. It's kind of like, oh yeah, we've blown up a space station, but you don't really kind of consider in the films, I don't think, the fact that actually means that the Empire have lost like millions of lives of the people that lived and worked on that station, and everyone, of course, who's still in the Empire after that has now lost friends, colleagues, dare I say some family as well. So it's a great kind of new take on those original stories, but it's also a love story as well. It's a really different type of story for Star Wars that I'd ever come across, so it really hit me as to the difference in the tone of it. But also the fact that it just ties in really beautifully. So yeah, definitely would recommend giving it a read. This one actually belongs to a friend of mine. So yeah, it was the first book that I read, the first of many, to be honest with you. So as I say, you do have a bit of a love story with this one, between Sienna and Thane. I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but anyway. And I won't go into a lot of detail about what happens to them throughout the story, but effectively they both start off with the Empire, being trained as kids, as pilots, and they're coming up through the academy. And again, it's just a really different kind of take from looking at the Empire from a different point of view, as seen from the eyes of the people that are in it. And as you go through the story, you end up with one of the characters kind of becoming a bit more disillusioned, seeing that the Empire might not actually be the good thing that it's supposed to be, and effectively he defects. He abandons the people that he's grown up with, his family, so to speak, and then goes off and ends up with the rebellion. And then you get that side of the story, the rebellion side, and why they do what they do, and why it is that people join up and why they fight, and what it is that they're fighting for. And throughout all of this, you've just got this two sides of a coin, two sides of a story, where both characters are conflicted because they believe different things, but at the end of the day, they still have a bond between each other. So it's just a great story, really well written. Claudia Gray has definitely become one of my favourite authors after this, and I'm looking forward very much to her new High Republic books coming out. I think the next one will be next month, and I'm definitely going to try and catch up with all of the other Star Wars novels that she's done, because she's done more than just this, so well worth a read. So in the next book review, we've got plenty to choose from. I might do Resistance Reborn, which was probably the second or third that I had read around the time that Rise of Skywalker came out, but we'll do one video per book as we go through. But definitely wanted to start with this. I definitely recommend it. It's really good, and as you're going through, it's definitely a page turner. You want to pick it up, you want to find out what these characters do and what happens to them, and they certainly end up in a lot of situations where you think, oh my god, this could be the end. So it's well worth a read, and it is supposed to be a tie-in. It's supposed to be part of the journey to The Force Awakens, and you really feel that, because by the end of it, you're sort of left almost where you are with The Mandalorian in a way, this time setting where Return of the Jedi has happened. The Emperor has been defeated, killed, or not, and you're left with the Empire in shreds, in tatters, and the sort of vacuum of power that's left behind it. And this book sets it up really, really beautifully, because you've got the characters there that have really grown up with the Empire and believe in it and understand it and know what it's supposed to be about. So when the Emperor falls, it's what happens next. And it just sets it up really, really well. And you do get the feeling that obviously the First Order is going to end up coming, but we don't really find out yet what the plans are for that. So it's a lot like The Mandalorian in those respects, in that it's definitely teasing and setting up the stuff that's going to be coming with the sequels, the sequel trilogy. So yeah, well worth a read, regardless of which era you're into. As I say, it all follows the events of the original trilogy, so if you're a fan of the originals, then this is definitely a great book for you to read. But similarly, if you're also more of a fan of the sequels, it's still a great book, because as I say, it does lead into a really good setup. So yeah, I would highly recommend it. I would give it maybe like 4.5 out of 5. The only reason why I would sort of take a slight mark off of it is just that love stories aren't necessarily the sort of thing that I would usually pick up and read. It's great that it ties into Star Wars, and it's very different for that. But yeah, it's just that it perhaps love stories aren't necessarily my kind of thing. But as I say, despite that, still one of my absolute favourites. Now, I'm told that this is actually supposed to be one of the kind of adult teen level readings, but I'm not actually sure. I certainly read this and believed that it was an adult novel rather than a teen one. It's got very mature content in it. There's nothing in there that I thought was done sort of hiding the facts of love, romance, whatever you want to call it, and the grittiness and the goriness of the Empire and the action that happens. So yeah, as I say, I believe it's supposed to be aimed at teens, but as an adult, I certainly found that it was more than capable of being an adult novel. So if you can get a copy, do give it a read. If you have read it, maybe leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about it. How many stars would you give it? What did you like about it? Perhaps let me know what you thought about the characters that are in it too. I don't want to go too much on the video about the characters that are in this. I don't want to give anything away, so no spoilers. But yeah, if you can get yourself a copy of this, if you've never read a Star Wars book before, this is a great place to start. And even if you have, it's definitely worth a read. I think you'll really, really enjoy it. So yeah, there you go. Star Wars Lost Stars, first book review. Give it a read. Definitely recommend. And hopefully I'll see you in the next episode.